We saw some cattle, maybe 30 or 40 in Sulphur Creek that had grouped and fallen into the river or been swept into the river. We saw another group of about 40 northwest of Newell near a stock dam, and I'm sure there's groups like that all over western South Dakota. We also saw in Sturgis some collapsed roofs. We saw Peterson Motors had a collapsed roof. Campbell Supply's roof is collapsed. Another building I couldn't identify had a collapsed roof. And so not only is this impacting livestock producers and causing livestock deaths, but it's also impacting folks who are having damaged businesses and homes. So it's definitely been a bad storm.
When I saw the group of cattle along that creek in piles, I kind of got sick to my stomach. How would you describe that scene, that sight?
Yeah, it was a sickening feeling to see those cattle, and you know they represent a livelihood for livestock producers. You also know that animals suffer in some circumstances like that too, and so. But my heart goes out to those families whose livelihood is threatened by such a devastating loss, and I hope we can find some help for them through the federal programs if we can get the Ag Bill or the Farm Bill up and running again.
Let's talk about response. Where do we go from here?
Well, we've asked the producers to keep track of their losses, to document them and count them for the Animal Industry Board. We're asking them to report through their county emergency managers as they have in other circumstances. Those emergency managers normally would report to the FCS offices. Those offices are closed because of the federal shutdown, so we're asking those emergency managers to report instead to the Animal Industry Board. And we're looking for numbers there so we can get a sense of the breadth of the problem. But we are also asking producers to be sure to be careful about documentation, get a third-party witness, keep receipts, ear tags, any other identifying objective evidence that the animals existed, that they were owned, and that they've died. We're also looking at help for local governments. Snow removal is ordinarily not a cost that's covered by a snow event, with one exception, and that is if it's a record snow. Now, the National Climate Data Center is closed, so we can't look at those statistics to determine whether we're looking at record snowfalls. But looking at National Weather Service data, it appears that this was a record snowfall for Meade County, Lawrence County, Perkins County, Pennington County, probably Butte and Custer as well. So we're asking those local governments to keep track of their expenses as they do snow removal, and if it turns out that these were record snowfall events, if we meet the statewide threshold and the per capita county thresholds, then we may be eligible for some assistance for snow removal costs.
I know that counties, Butte, Meade, Pennington, I'm sure Perkins is next, but have declared disaster declarations. And I guess take us through the process. What kind of a time frame are we looking at from your desk to the president's desk?
Well, normally we ask FEMA to join with us in making estimates of damages or estimates of costs as recovery efforts are underway. When it comes to snow removal, you can't wait for that. You need to simply get after it. And I know our local governments have worked hard already to do that. But we ask local governments to keep track of those kinds of expenses, and then as we are able to judge whether or not the snowfall meets the threshold, we first must meet about 1,100,000 in total threshold statewide. I'm pretty confident we'll easily meet that. Then you look at each county, county by county, a per capita, I think it's $3.23 per person or something like that, something over $3 per resident in the county. If you multiply that up and the damages for that county surpass that dollar threshold, then we could ask the president to declare a disaster in that county. And I think it's possible we may meet some of those thresholds.